Hi folks, it's good to be with you and love to everybody out there. How is everybody? Hope you've had a good Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody's okay. Love to everybody. It's good to be with you. I want to make a video, a quick video on Ijaz, Ahmad and the inscriptions of the Gospels. And so we're going to look at that. You're going to think, oh Jay, it's going to be a bit boring. It's just going to be a quick video. Just to call this gentleman out. Before I do, don't forget my website, jasonbirdspreacher.com. You can get me on Facebook and Twitter. Now that website, jasonbirdspreacher.com, has a lot of good resources on it, so please use it. Pray that God would use it, and you use it. It costs quite a bit of money to keep going every year. It costs, I think it's 200 and odd pounds that I spent keeping that website up. So please pray about it and use it, and pray that God would use that website. It's there to encourage people. There's a lot of sermons, books, articles and things that can help you in your walk with the Lord. So please pray about using it and use it and get into the resources there and promote it with your friends and family as well. Also, there's quite a number of books that I've written or edited that are on Amazon. Please go and look at those books. Just type in Jason Burns Islam, Jason Burns Christianity, Jason Burns Atheism, and you'll see a number of books up there. Now, you don't have to buy them. You can go and read them for free. But, you know, you can buy a couple if you want to as well. Most recent one is a book that I've just written recently, a little book on exposing Islamic Dawah teams exposed, and it looks at the story of how Islam's grip of Hyde Park Speaker's Corner was broken over the last couple of years. It's a very interesting story, and it's there on Amazon. Go and have a look at it. Okay, without further ado, let's listen to Brother Ijaz Ahmad, and I'll tell you what I think.
Back to this manuscript of the New Testament. So we're in the early 4th century, early to mid 4th century. The Codex Sinaiticus has been written, which is one version of the New Testament, and it's been published. And another editor has come along and seen that it doesn't have a title at the top. There is no author. It's what we call an inscriptio. So what does that editor add to the already published version of Codex Sinaiticus? To the top of each gospel, he adds an inscriptio, and to the Gospel of Matthew he adds katomation, or according to Matthew. So that's the 4th century. So just to recap, 3rd century, no title. 4th century, you have Codex Sinaiticus, already published, and someone later coming to add the name of Matthew to it. What do they add? Katomation, or according to Matthew. In the 5th century, you have Eugalion Katomation, the Gospel according to Matthew. And by the 9th century, in what we call Codex Campianus, it goes a step further. It says Agion Eugalion Katomation, which means the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. So 3rd century, no title. 9th century, it becomes the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. So I will post the link to that academia article. It was actually in the top 3%, I believe, when it was published, and it's still one of the highest ranked papers on the website. And I believe Simon Gatherscole of the University of Oxford has also recently published a paper covering this topic, where he examines a 3rd century manuscript where the name of Matthew was also added to the top of it. Secondly, we need to define what the New Testament actually is. And so I have a book here with me.
So did you hear that my article went to the highest, was the highest looked at, etc. Right, where do we start? Well, on the titles, one of the great scholars, Martin Hengel, were the titles there, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, were they there in the original Gospels, or were they anonymous? Well, we found in Pompeii a library that was protected when the volcano was erupted, and we found that a library there, and in the scrolls there was labels put on the scrolls. So the labels of who wrote the gospel, the labels of who wrote whatever manuscript. So there we see that early manuscripts in the 1st century would have titles on. Okay, but there were labels attached to it. Yeah, so labels come off, So that's one area. Secondly, he talks about the Gospel Matthew here, and he quotes various Sinaiticus and other manuscripts. But my friends, these things are very, very. I mean, he's quoting like 4 or 5 manuscripts. For example, the Gospel of Matthew, there are hundreds of manuscripts to be looking at. You've got Latin, Syriac. That's before you even look at the Greek. So many manuscripts. So just to highlight 2 or 3 and say this is my theory about the gospel titles is just simplistic. So he's using very simplistic scholarship, trying to present himself as very scholarly. So that's the one thing to say. Like I said, Martin Hengel, Word Authority, said there's always been titles to the Gospels as well. He's one of the great scholars of all time. Now, all I want to say is this. I actually went into this in detail. I went into this in massive detail. I studied it in depth. I did a video on it, looking at all the scholarship. Sent it to this guy, and this guy laughed and would not deal with it. This guy's got no real qualifications in what he's doing. I have, and yet he would not engage with me. And yet he's presenting himself to be some kind of scholar on the internet, when he's not. Okay? Why won't he debate us? Why won't he debate me? Why won't he engage? It's because he doesn't want you to know the truth. He doesn't want you to be exposed to the truth. So look at my video, have a look at it on the gospel title somewhere on this channel. Anyhow, so I just want to show you something. Go and find Ijaz Ahmad on Blogging Theology. That's his site, one of his sites. Go and read his articles, okay? Go and read his articles. Read them all you want. But when you've done, I'll put a link under this video. And I'm going to put you a scholar, a proper scholar, on the issue of the gospel titles. And compare Ijaz Ahmad to this gentleman here. If I can get it for you. Here. Have a read of this article. The titles of the Gospels in the early New Testament manuscripts by Simon J. Gatherscole. Have a read of that, and you will have your head scratching, because this is a very intricate, deep academic. I mean, I read it a while ago. I've just read teeny bits just now, but it is so intricate and detailed. It's by one of the finest scholars in this field, Simon J. Gatherscole. Ijaz isn't, if Gatherscole's here, Ijaz is at the bottom of the pile. I mean, he's not even on the Richter scale of being a Bible scholar in any shape or form. So have a look at Simon J. Gatherscole. When you've gone on Ijaz Blogging Theology, read a few of Ijaz articles and compare him, especially find his articles on the gospel titles, and then read Simon J. Gatherscole. And I don't expect you to engage with the depth of the scholarship. All I want you to see within the first page of reading Gatherscole, you'll see what a real scholar is, and that Ijaz is just being simplistic in his scholarship, and he's not being honest with you, that these things are much more complex than he's making out to be. And also that he's taken very esoteric, strange theories on this topic, rather than looking at hard factual evidence and comparing all the evidence that's needed to look at. Okay? So, if you want just to expose your mind to what real scholarship is, and compare it to scholarship that is a joke. Read the real scholarship of Gatherscole and compare it with the scholarship of Ijaz, and you'll see what a complete joke this guy is, and that he's not being honest with you. Alright? God bless you.